Hi, welcome to Eastern Michigan University's Occupational Therapy Group Advising Session. My name is Sharon Holt. I am a full-time lecturer and advisor at Eastern Michigan University. I've been an OT since 1999, and I hold 2 bachelor degrees in both occupational therapy and dance from Western Michigan University, as well as a master's in health sciences from the University of Indianapolis. I've worked in lots of different settings, including acute care, inpatient rehab, and post-acute settings. And I started back at Eastern in 2010. My email here is at the top of the screen, and please do not hesitate to reach out at any time should you have questions. I'm so glad that you chose EMU as an opportunity for you to enter an occupational therapy program. We have a long-standing tradition of excellence, and you can expect small class sizes with instructors that are dedicated to your success if you come to Eastern. You'll also be able to have lots of experiential hands-on learning activities in the classroom as well as the community. Another piece about Eastern that is fairly unique is that we have fantastic interprofessional opportunities with students and faculty in other healthcare professions throughout the university. We have no out-of-state fees for domestic undergraduate students, and we also have close peer mentoring with current students in our program. So students who are in the program will actually mentor our students who are entering the program. Eastern Michigan Occupational Therapy Program is accredited through the American Accreditation Council for Occupational Therapy Education, it's a mouthful, ACOTE, through the American Occupational Therapy Association. So let's get started. The objective of this webinar is to obtain a greater understanding of the application requirements to apply to Eastern Michigan's OT program. The first steps are always visiting our website and our catalog. Any updates to the application process or the program will be reflected in both of these areas. Please visit these regularly to stay up to date on current application processes. Some general information. The occupational therapy application at EMU is actually through OTCAS, or the Occupational Therapy Centralized Application System. This system opens on January 2nd of each year and then closes on June 15th. Our OT program is unique in that we begin in the winter. So a lot of programs start in the fall, but ours actually begins in the winter semester, which is in January. Some more general information, and these are just common questions that I receive quite often from our applicants. And our program accepts 38 students per year. We typically have different numbers that apply through OTCAS. On average, somewhere between 60 and 90 is probably our average. The average GPA that we typically accept is around a 3.5 to a 3.7. That GPA is taken from the last 60 credits of your academic history. So we do look at a smaller portion of your academic history to determine that GPA. And then again, applications are submitted through the OTCAS system. So there are 2 routes of entry into the OT program at EMU. And those 2 routes are as a COT applicant or a combined occupational therapy applicant, or as an MOT applicant, which is a Master's of Occupational Therapy applicant. Both routes of entry culminate in the same degree of a Master's of Occupational Therapy. It does not matter how you apply to our program, whether you are as a COT or an MOT. The program is the same no matter how you apply. There are a few differences, though, that I need to articulate. The first being, if you are a Masters of OT applicant, the questions we typically receive are, do you need to be an EMU student to apply? And at this point, you actually do not need to be an EMU student to apply. You just have to submit your application through OTCAS. Now, if you want to take any classes at EMU, yes, you would of course have to become an EMU student to take classes, but In general, you just need to submit the OTCAS application. And then if we ask you to start our OT program, then we ask you to fully apply at that time. If you are a combined occupational therapy student, you actually do need to be an Eastern Michigan University student to apply. Now, this does not mean that you need to be taking classes at Eastern Michigan University. If you are at another institution, you are welcome to stay there. But what we do ask is that you apply to Eastern, become an EMU student so that we can get your information into our system. And really it's really about your transcripts, getting your academic history into Eastern so we can just make sure that you have all the pieces you would need to be able to not only start our Eastern Michigan OT program, but also to be able to graduate with a degree from Eastern. As a combined occupational therapy student, you need a minimum of 75 to 78 credits fully completed in order to apply through OTCAS and apply to our program. And that's a lot of credits, and I'm going to talk about that in here in just a second. The reason you need 75 to 78 credits, undergraduate credits, fully completed, and I need to mention recognized as credits that could apply towards graduation, is because when you enter the program in January of the year after you apply, so you apply in the summer semester there, and then if you get into the program, when you start in January, you need to have a minimum of 90 undergraduate credits fully completed in order to start the program. If you have less than that, we wouldn't be able to accept you. If you have more than 90, that's fine, and that's fine, and it will not affect you in any way. Some pieces that you would need to know also is your general education coursework, and that's those courses that each university requires of its students to make you a more well-rounded student. Those courses need to be completed before you start the EMU OT program. That's the other reason we want to get your transcripts into Eastern so that we can make sure that the classes that you've already taken would fulfill the requirements that we have at Eastern. And if you're missing anything, we want to make sure you know that so you can get those things taken care of. The other piece is a second major, and one of the things as a combined occupational therapy student is we know 90 credits is a lot of credits to be able to take prior to starting the OT program. And because we only accept 38 applicants each year, I'm a big believer in always making sure that our OT applicants have lots of different options open to them. One of the things we talk about extensively is having kind of a second major or an alternate plan of study should you not get into the OT program the first time you apply. So for instance, if you are at Eastern, a lot of times people they'll be working towards a second degree. So they may be working towards therapeutic recreation, or they may be working towards social work or exercise science. It's really the choice of the applicant what they want to do. And usually we recommend something that of course is interesting to you and that you see yourself either doing if you needed to, as far as if you wanted to get start a career in that field and then apply to OT, or if something that you find interesting because you will do better in those classes. So we want you to have that second major that you're working towards, and then thinking of OT as if you got into the program, you would then just matriculate into the OT program. So those classes, those are wonderful classes to help, again, round out your education and help you just to be prepared should you not get into the program, you just continue with your first degree there. Or if you did get into the OT program, you can take that knowledge you've learned and then bring that into the OT program with you. We have 9 pre-admission course requirements that must be completed prior to applying to the EMU OT program. Each of these 9 classes must be completed with a B- or higher. And we also have some requirements around when they need to be completed. And we have a 5 or 10 year time frame, and I'll talk about each of those in a second. Transcripts must be submitted and verified by the Occupational Therapy Centralized Application System by that application deadline of June 15th. This does require some time, so please do not hold off on sending your transcripts to OTCAS until right before the deadline. So if you are finishing up a semester, that winter semester or spring semester, depending on the university you're at, and it's done in April or early May, please get those transcripts submitted into OTCAS so we have the most current information, and they can also have time to get verified. One of our classes we do allow to be completed during the application review. And again, that is one class, and it is a neuroanatomy class, Bio 330. And this is the only class that we accept past the deadline of June 15th. And again, I'll talk more about this here to clarify this in just a second. So we have these 9 pre-admission courses. We have introductory psychology, introductory sociology or anthropology, medical terminology, a human growth and development course, statistics, anatomy and physiology 1 and 2, neuroanatomy, and abnormal psychology. All of the classes listed here must be fully completed by that June 15th deadline on OTCAS. And actually before then, because we need to get your transcript in there. So you really want to make sure you're planning out your semesters so that you can get those classes completed well before the June 15th OTCAS deadline. That one exception, again, is neuroanatomy, and that is Bio 330 at Eastern Michigan University. We will accept neuroanatomy taken in the summer, but only if it is taken at EMU and only if it is Bio 330. So if you're at another institution and you are thinking, oh, maybe I'll just take neuroanatomy in the summer, we cannot accept it towards the EMU OT application. I also mentioned that there was some time frames, and for most of the classes, we will accept classes up to 10 years of age. The exceptions to those classes include statistics, anatomy and physiologies, and neuroanatomy. Those 4 courses must be 5 years of age or younger on your day of application. So that's certainly something that we don't budge a whole lot on those because we want you to have that content front and center when you're getting ready to start the program. If you have questions around if a class that you're currently taking would be accepted as a pre-admission course, we just ask that you email the following information to the OT_intent_advising at emich.edu website. That will be answered by me. So again, I will be looking at those, and I take that information, and then of course I bring that back to the faculty and to other partners in our university as needed to determine if a course would be equivalent. If you are looking for some elective courses to help deepen your understanding of the profession of occupational therapy, I strongly encourage these 3 undergraduate courses that we have available. Many of them are offered online. We have an OCTH 100, which is an orientation to OT, an OCTH 201, which is looking at occupational performance in the community, and then 350, which is looking at occupational performance in the context of a disability. Each of these 3 courses are not required courses, and they are not courses that are part of the occupational therapy program, but rather they just give you more information. They're fun classes to take to really immerse yourself in the thinking of the profession. For the 2020-2021 application cycle, it has been determined that the GRE will not be required. So for many of you, that's a yay! And for others, it might be, oh, I really wanted to take it. Regardless, we will not be requiring the GRE for the 2020-2021 application cycle due to the current health crisis and pandemic with COVID-19, and also just revisiting this as part of our application process. Observation hours are very often a part of occupational therapy applications. And right now, many of our healthcare and educational organizations have closed or limited opportunities to really protect their patients, their staff, and also you as potential applicants to OT programs. So for the 2021 application cycle, it has been determined that if you are in need of observation hours, to please watch a video through the American Occupational Therapy Association. And then you're going to document that you have viewed this video under the OTCAS application system. The video is a fantastic video, and I will show it here. And it's really describing how occupational therapy has changed lives in this video. So we certainly encourage you to please watch this. It's about 12 to 14 minutes long. As part of the OTCAS application process, you are required to submit reference letters. And they require 3 reference letters, bare minimum, but you can submit up to 5. It is strongly recommended from the Occupational Therapy program at Eastern Michigan University that you submit at least an academic and a professional reference, although that is not fully required by the system. We really recommend that you obtain references from individuals who can provide those insights into your abilities, whether it's in the classroom, which would be the academic, workplace, which would be a professional, and those interpersonal skills that you have and those qualities that you have that are really going to make you a good fit for Eastern's OT program and the profession of occupational therapy in general. The other information that we want you to really provide for this, the OTCAS application is the supporting information section. And this highlights your experiences and achievements, those licenses and certifications. And again, I'm going to go to this website so you can see it just real quickly here, and I'm going to sign in. And this is really what your OTCAS application will look like. And so once you get this in the system, you'll have 4 sections that you have to complete. You'll have your personal information section, your academic history section, and the supporting information section, and then this program materials section. And we'll talk about this in a minute as well. But we were talking about that supporting information, and here is all of that information that we really want you to be providing us. Your evaluations are your references, your observation hours, which we have mentioned is for this year we are waiving. And then talking about your experiences, achievements, licenses, and certifications. With experiences, they are asking to have you put down all of your experiences around employment, extracurriculars, healthcare, internships, research, teaching, volunteerism, and leadership. There's a lot here. And this section gives us a better understanding of you as an applicant beyond the academics. And this is really important for us because we recognize that you are more than your grades. So we recognize that you would bring a wealth of experiences and background to the program, and we just really want to get an understanding of some of those things that you've done. The supplemental questions section I had just mentioned is also something. So each portion of every program on OTCAS may have a supplemental questions section that you want to make sure that you are reviewing. And on that section, there are specific items that each university may have you fill out. So don't forget to check that out for Easterns as well. The final piece of supplemental information is that Eastern Michigan University does require a supplemental processing fee of $35. And this is in addition to the OTCAS fee. And so there is a link on our website that you can use to pay for that. We cannot review your OTCAS application without having received that $35 supplemental processing fee. The process that we use with the OTCAS and then the remainder of the application is that the OTCAS applications are reviewed, then select students are chosen for an interview. Those students or applicants will then complete an online interview that would then be reviewed by the selection board. And we do an online platform called Kira platform. And it is again, it's an online system, so you don't need to travel to Eastern to do your interview. And they are pre-recorded questions then that you answer on your computer. The program cost and scholarships. I know this is always something that people are very interested in. We do offer a number of scholarships to students that are admitted to the program, and we distribute that information annually. And they are only provided to OT students who are in the program, and typically not given until after you've completed a full semester with us as OT students. But we also have lots of university scholarships that are also available. And I'll show you the link to these areas here in just a minute. Also thinking about tuition. So certainly tuition and kind of planning ahead for your future is certainly something that we want you to do and to really be aware of, so that you are aware of all the costs that are associated with your schooling. So I'm going to actually head over here to our web page. And this is our web page. And you can then see a great video about Eastern's OT program, as well as some of our spaces that we have. And then over here, you're going to see the links for tuition and fees, financial aid, and for scholarships, as well as meeting our faculty. If you have any further questions, please do not hesitate to reach out. I am always happy to help chat with you individually, to kind of talk through your own path and how you may reach your goal of being an EMU OT student at any time. Or if it's just a quick email, please, again, don't hesitate to reach out, and we look forward to welcoming you into our EMU Occupational Therapy community.